We have just seen Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma. Greyson, this is your dream movie, and we're going to review it right now and tell you why it's so great.
I hadn't seen much of anything on this film except for what the killer was. So I wanted to go into it completely just open-minded just to see what happened. I had seen the previous movies. I've never seen the TV Glow or whatever it's called. So I saw it was supposed to be a meta thing about slashers. And oh my God, does this movie nail everything that you want a slasher meta film to do. It's got humor, it's got violence, it's got sex, it's got great characters. Everything you want, you get in just the prettiest little package you've ever had.
Director Jane Schoenbrunn is a trans director.
Oh, there we go, Bruin.
Schoenbrunn. But my God, it felt like Scream, where it was like, man, there's real work here. This director knows the deepest cuts and is super knowledgeable. And they reference movies where the category of slasher where as a kid you thought you were the only person that had seen those movies.
Yeah, for instance, they have a line about The Burning in this movie. And not a ton of people know about The Burning, but the fact that it was even brought up into this film is just oh my God, I can't believe they referenced that. That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's like movies that are this meta, it's not overdone. Like Scream was really meta, but then retained its identity. And I think going into this, I'm not really into meta stuff. And so I was like, I wonder if this movie will be able to exist on its own. And from the beginning, it builds this universe of Camp Miasma, which is, like Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, it's slasher genre. But it has this awesome production design in the credits where it shows all these little toys, comic books, playing cards, and
the video game there's a video game that's based off of the Friday the 13th video game. Like it's really clever, and it's not beating you over the head with it. It does it in unique and really creative ways, so you don't just go, another one.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Instead of just being like, we promise that this is an important franchise in the fake movie universe, it says, no, here's actual physical wind-up toys to prove to you this is a physical existing movie along with Friday the 13th and stuff like that. That way, it didn't feel like some discount made-up thing. I was like, since I grew up with those tangible objects, it feels like I grew up with Camp Miasma.
Yeah, and I really do have to applaud everybody who worked on the film for that, because I know it took a while for them to make everything in this film.
Yeah.
The fake VHS boxes and art, like that's something that I think a lot of people forget about. It's going to take a while to create that many box arts for all of these fake films.
Yeah, I wanted to pause the credits and look at every little thing. But Camp Miasma is a famous slasher. We have Chris, who is going to make the remake of Camp Miasma. It's had a zillion sequels and spin-offs, and they even had like kind of a medieval version that was like Army of Darkness illusions. And so this director cares about Camp Miasma so much, which we find out why later, but she's going to go see Billy, who is played by Gillian Anderson, who is the original final girl in the movie, who turned down all the sequels, and she's going to get the heart of the original one by getting to know Billy. What are your thoughts on Gillian Anderson?
So, growing up and watching her in the X-Files all the time and being able to see her jump into the slasher genre is like a dream come true. And, I don't know if you can necessarily put this as like a slasher as much as it is just kind of one of the funniest horror comedies ever made. But just being able to see Gillian Anderson go just completely off and see her do something that I've never seen her do before. I've never seen her act in like a comedy role to this extent. Like, this is deeply funny, and she just chews up every single scene that she's in. So you have her going, back to back with, what's her name? Jane? That's her name, right?
Chris.
The director?
Chris.
Yeah. So having both of these basically carry the whole film, it's a dream come true because they act so well together. But my favorite part of this is you have these two characters watching the movie And I just thought that we were just going to get glimpse of what this movie
The
was.
original Camp Miasma.
The original Camp Miasma, yes. But instead, you get, I think it's like 20 minutes of this film of Camp Miasma 1 shown to you. You get the opening and the big kill count shown to you. And I did not expect this at all. I thought it was going to be them kind of talking about it, so a couple of jokes. Maybe they'd show some trailers of it. I did not expect you to get 20 minutes of Camp Miasma.
There's a full short film like built into it. Immediately when they get there, there's like a really intense sexual chemistry there.
Of course there is, yeah.
And Jillian, and a lot of times Chris is like infantilized, where Billy is kind of like a motherly role, the way she serves her, and then Chris is like in her pajamas with like bunny slippers, and she's treating her to dinner and like feeding her like they're eating candy together and stuff. And it's like this weird taboo-y kind of maternal relationship, but it's also kind of hot at the same time because Jillian has this funny kind of southern accent and is just in complete control. She asks Chris, like, tell me about yourself, and then she's like, no, not about your movies, tell me about you.
Billy is always dressed up like a 1920s like movie star as well.
Yeah,
the
hats with
yes.
I guess it's a way to maybe separate. She looks old Hollywood.
She does.
Yeah, like kind of flappery.
Exactly.
And Chris is looking for this moment in the movie where Billy, the actress, is having sex. And it turns out she was actually having sex on set, I guess.
Yeah, that's what it's implying in the movie, for sure. Yes.
But since this movie is meta, as we find out, she was actually having sex during the filming of this movie, so to speak. But there's a scene where the killer shows up in Billy's eyes, and that is like the moment that that Chris is after, and why she's so hardcore on getting to know Gillian Anderson's character. So we find out that there's I don't know how much YouTube will flag it if we talk about sex so much, but
I mean, it's in the title of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. So, but through this meta commentary, it's like we find out that Chris is like really awkward with sex, and when she's talking to Billy, and it turns out that this moment she's after was Chris's sexual awakening. This is like the only way she can like have an orgasm and get off. And Jillian like completely empathizes, because in that scene I thought that she had an orgasm because she was relieved that the boy killing her, that the boy was having sex with her, was going to get killed, so she wouldn't have to have like straight sex anymore. You know, I thought that's the reason she orgasmed, was because she saw the killer was about to free her, basically. I thought that's where the movie was going. But it turns out she's just really turned on by voyeurism.
Yeah, about a person with an air vent attached to their head killing them. So
you get to see her seeing herself have sex is what got her off, and that's why Chris is like after that same erotic tension. And it all feels super weird because of the productions. It's like there's matte paintings, and the cabin is like a little model, wasn't it?
I think there were some that were models. You could definitely tell that there were like little houses built to make it look bigger than it actually was. But that's also a part of what's going on as well, because she lives at the original campsite where they filmed the movie as well. So there still is, production and everything that's out there as well. But Shaun is very correct. The whole movie, it feels like you're on a set the whole time. And it's cool. It's not like in a cheesy way. It's shot in a very beautiful way. Every time you see like the matte painting in the background, it's done in such a way that it's both funny and really cool looking at the same time.
You like laugh at it, but you appreciate it at the same time.
Exactly. And it's very hard to pull that off, but this director does it multiple times throughout the film. And there's some points to where you don't even realize it's there until a couple of seconds have gone by, and then your eye adjusts and you go, oh wow, that's a matte painting there.
She's like in the cabin with Billy, right? And she'll be talking to Billy, and in that kind of spirit of it feeling like a movie set, you know, it'll just kind of, there's a scene where she's at the dinner table and talking to her, but then the camera switches to the other side of her face, and the lighting's different, and there's like a little bit of film distress. And then when Billy walks up to her, Billy's like in the shadows. So like the movie will switch from like kind of not like a rom-com, but like a hunky-dory two ladies talking in a cabin to like a really intense horror movie, like out of nowhere between between conversations, or if Billy challenges her on something. There's a scene where Chris thinks that she hears Billy talking to somebody, and Billy's like, go look up there. And then like 80s horror movie creepy music starts to play. So it all just kind of melts together into this weird, is this a movie or are we watching, like, are they inside a movie or are we watching characters talk to each other?
Yeah, is it a movie within a movie within a movie?
Yes.
And that's the cool thing about this. You do get the answer, and it's really cool whenever you do get it in this film.
It gave me the same sentiment of when I watched Last Action Hero as a kid, where I was like, man, I wish Jack Slater had his own movies that I could watch.
Oh, yeah, that's so true. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, it's almost too bad that this slasher character is trapped within the movie. We kind of get to this point in the movie where, you know, Chris is talking to Billy about how she is very closeted in her sexuality. And Billy kind of gives her a space to feel free and telling her basically her kinks. I hate to like boil it down to like what kinks she has, but that's what it is. And her kink is, I want to feel like I'm going to get killed while I'm having sex, right? And she wants to be like the women of the Miasma movie. She wants to be slutty and chaste and sexually promiscuous and having sex and getting chased at the same time. And Billy gives her this orgasm. And after that changes, the movie, even more so than before, it kind of melts into this fever dream. Chris now has to, instead of giving her producers and filmmakers the origin story remake that they sent her to go make, she has decided that she's going to make more like a Halloween 2019?
Yes, that's 2018.
Movie where Billy is the lead character. And we get a really funny scene on the Zoom calls with her producers and the production designers. It's meta.
It is one of the funniest scenes I've seen in a movie in over 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, it is unbelievably funny.
Yeah, and she's kind of like just telling them this feverish pitch where I don't know if I still don't quite know if she was trying to sound crazy on purpose. I think she was.
I'm pretty sure she was, because after it was over with, she kind of put everything back on. It was going, oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Like she knew what she was doing. She did that on purpose.
Yeah. And maybe it is to have like drawn them out at the end of the movie. Yeah. And she goes into the same gas station as the original Miasma cast did when they were filming, and she sees like movie versions of the characters, and she's kind of freaked out about it. But I think that's like her kind of letting what this actually is kind of seep into her brain.
Yeah, she starts out freaked out, but then she gets really into it.
Yeah.
And this is like the point where you know you're in the final act and you're asking yourself, is there a way for this movie to to stick the landing, basically, because you've already got the wacky premise that's going on. Now you're at the point where you're going, how can you end this movie and make it as good as the rest of the movie was? Because you have to get to a point where you go, oh, here's the flaw. It can't end it well. Like, it has a bad ending. But it doesn't.
Yeah, especially a movie where they could easily be like, oh, she's just crazy, or she's in a dream, or even like something as simple as at the end of the movie they pull back and they're inside of a movie.
They're watching it. Exactly. So I was thinking while I was watching this movie, that's what was going to happen. It was going to be a screening of the movie that she had already made. Yeah. And she was one of those, director actors that, got to fulfill their fantasy of being in the film. But no, they dig deeper into going into meta, and they just go full born like, hey, you're in the movie now. Like, you're a part of it. You're going to get to do the exact same thing that Billy did, and you're going to have to get to Billy by running away from the killer and watching all of your friends die. So you're getting to reenact your fantasy, and they show the whole thing on the screen, and it's beautifully done, of course, because this whole movie is. And then you get to the end and you get the scene of her being able to see through Little Death's eyes and getting basically the same thing that happened to Billy all those years ago.
The same orgasm.
She got to the same orgasm, yes. The same situation, the same feelings, everything that she had, she got it.
Yeah. And
then you get Little Death disappearing, and you don't really know what to expect after that, because your characters are dead. She's dead. It shows them. They're both covered in blood. They both spew blood on each other. And I fully expected this movie to cut to black, Sean. Oh, yeah. I really did.
When they're on the bed together.
Yes. As soon as they threw up on each other and it pulled back and Little Death pulls the spear out and they're both laying there, I thought that the movie was going to fade to black. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think that I wouldn't have been mad at that. I would have been like, oh, okay, that's a decent ending. But it keeps going.
Yeah.
And you get Little Death going back into the water, and they show all the carnage and everything. And then they wake up and they go to the gas station again while they're covered in blood, and they're talking to each other and making jokes and talking about all the candy and stuff they're going to get.
All right. So earlier in the movie, when we're seeing the original Camp Miasma and they're watching it in theater together, there's a split dioptic shot, which is where I think it's called a dioptic, where you have it's basically a split shot where something is up close and fully in focus, and then something is behind the close-up subject and also fully in focus. It's very weird and surreal-like. Judgment Night with Emilio Estevez is like the most obvious one I can think of, which is a stupid cut. But when it happens in the old movie while they're watching it, Chris goes, oh, a dioptic. And so at the end of the movie, we're kind of questioning, because it's revealed that Little Death is in basically a whole portal at the bottom of the lake, and it is escaping and making its own slaughter movies in its own little dream Stranger Things video store.
What kind of like is it Videodrome that has James Woods in it with the tape?
Yes,
that he puts in
there's a vaginal VCR slot that Little Death, who is a trans killer, kind of puts into a movie slot. And so we're like, do we really believe that there is a portal below that or not? Or is this just some fantasy that Billy made up for Chris's brain? And at the end of the movie, when they're at the gas station after they get their fruit snacks together, Chris talks to Billy with a dioptic shot, and she gives like very cheesy, like dated, like Little Death will always come back, kind of mirroring the end of any non-sequel in any slasher movie.
Which they referenced earlier. They showed part 6 ending. She says the exact same line that she says at the end of the movie.
Yeah, and that kind of fourth wall break kind of lets the viewer know, like, no, they're in a movie, and they're kind of happy. I kind of like to think that was like they're trapped in their own movie, but that was their own. That's what their characters do in their movie's heaven.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it. Is in my head the way I'm watching it, and this is probably completely wrong.
There's zero wrong interpretations.
So in my head, there's somebody watching the film. So this is a movie that is in fact been made. Like this is somebody is having their first experience watching this film, and that was the whole movie that played out there. Mm-hmm. And then the movie actually ends whenever Little Death kills them on the bed, and then that's their heaven afterwards, like you're talking about. Or so as soon as they're done,
or it's like what the fictional characters did.
Yeah,
that was such a cool full circle. To talk about the dioptic earlier, and then to use that as the fourth wall break, as a way to show that they were really in a movie. I thought that was like super clever. I think one of the things I really wanted to cover is, so this is a trans director, mm-hmm. and they go through links to talk about like problematic trans themes in old movies like Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah.
And they even go as far as to, like, Chris brings up that's like when they're watching the old movie, Chris is like, that is problematic. And you, like you said, Billy goes, shut up. Right?
Yeah, just watch the movie.
And Billy has a line where she says that in regards to like elevated horror, that like back then it was just about flesh and fluids. Is that what she said?
That's exactly what she said.
I think that's like a really interesting conversation to have, because even you and I will we won't watch stuff if it's like problematic, or if it's like the creators are like total like pieces of shit and stuff.
Yeah.
But I felt like, again, this is a cis white male take, but I felt like the director was like, hey, these have problematic, like super transphobic imagery and themes in these old slashers, but I still love them. They still influenced me as a filmmaker. Mm. And it's okay to like call out those problems while still appreciating like how I grew up with them.
Watching this, you can't not get that, because there's, as we said before, if you know this much history about these movies and you're talking as much as you are at length, and then you have a character like Billy who is basically saying like, nah, these were just made just to get a pop, basically, and to just have fun on the screen.
Yeah.
So I would love to watch a commentary on this movie.
Oh my gosh, yes. That would be so cool.
The second they announce the physical version of this, I will be buying it if there's commentary on it, because I know it's going to be packed with awesome information about how this film was created.
Yeah, I'd love to see like what the director says about the old movies with issues.
Exactly.
But also there's trans actors in this, and they make fun of the killer in this is also trans. And then they make fun of the like the campfire stories when they're all sitting around the campfire, and they make fun of the transphobia. It was a she on one day and a he on the next, and then they drowned him. They had no choice.
They had to. They had no choice. And the best thing about it is the way that they do it. It's not mean. Like it's more interesting, and it's more funny in it is ridiculous on what they were doing back then.
Yeah, it's making fun of how stupid and blatant the transphobia is in that fictional old movie.
I was really hoping that since this killer has like the air vent on its head, that was how they died. They just dropped an air vent on their head.
Oh, like a headbutt?
Yeah, like anything. Like I was hoping that the killer was gonna be, killed by the counselors because they were trying to move an air vent and they accidentally dropped it on Little Death's head. But nope, it's just on their head. I get
you're saying. The origin story was they literally got their head cratered by an air vent. Okay, and then it just stayed there.
Exactly. That's what I thought they were gonna do, because with how wacky and funny this movie can be, it would have made perfect sense if that happened in it at one point in time.
Yeah, that would have been pretty funny. One of my favorite scenes was that because they're watching the movie and then it goes into this montage, and a lot of it is like really wacky kills, but it goes into like this really sentimental song when little death walks into the like counselor hut, and it plays like that really sweet song while we get like people use it for the drunk camera in a lot of movies, like in The Hangover when they get up.
Yeah, whenever Ed Helms like stands up, you get that same camera in this for probably about 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, I felt like really sentimental about that. It made me be like, oh man, that's so cool that they managed to give us the blood and violence from the original movies, but in like a wacky way, and they managed to get it into 15 minutes, because even though it's not all of it, I felt like I've seen all of the original Miasma movie.
I will say that I think that this movie has one of the funnier kills that I've seen in a horror movie, to where a spear goes into somebody's, I do believe it's their butt, and then they get slammed into a flagpole about 4 times, and then they explode.
Yeah, it's all very ridiculous.
Sense. Yeah, it is. It's completely ridiculous, but it is so cool.
Yeah, I would say it's Kill Bill violent. That's I always say Kill Bill when I say it's violent but stupid violent.
I would say it's MK3 fatality violent. That's what I got, especially with how the body explodes. It's like how in the old Mortal Kombat games they would explode and they'd have like 8 arm bones that went everywhere.
And like 10 femurs, yeah.
Exactly.
I would like to say that this is an insanely funny but very hot movie. It was, I am not gonna lie, I was like, man, I was sitting there thinking, this is fucking hot. It was very intimate, and the second they did the chicken dipping noises, I was like, oh my god, this is gonna get like macro sexy here in a little bit.
It's coming, but I didn't expect it to be as hot as it was. Like, it happens and you go, oh, I didn't see that coming. It was just a whoa, okay,
yeah,
good on them.
Yeah,
and it's not like, I guess the best way to say is that like it's very tasteful though. Like it's not like the Friday the 13th remake sex scenes, to where he's talking about your tits are stupendous or anything like that. Like it's very tasteful on how they have it set up.
Yeah, and not to like, I'm not trying to bring it back deeper, but it's almost like the trans allegory where it's like I love those movies even though they have issues. I can admit that I like them. It's also like, hey, it's really stupid how much sex and how like gorgeous everybody is in old slasher movies, but also it's pretty fucking sick. So, it's like, it's almost like that's like a parallel for me. It's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? They're classics. So yes,
it's there.
Yeah, and even the lead character, Chris, it's like that's what she's so ashamed of, is admitting that it's like, I wanna run with a skimpy shirt and my big titties bouncing while I get chased by a stalker.
Actual lines from the movie that Shaun is quoting, by the way. This isn't just Shaun talking. That's a legit line that she says.
Yes, and she's like whispering it, and Gillian Anderson is just like, it's so, and the shots are so close and so vulnerable. It's like, oh my god. And you do feel like this kind of like, you're just looking at Gillian Anderson, you're like, oh mama. And you feel, and I think and just to wrap that, I think that's why she's so perfect casting.
She is
because like the character, as an audience, her casting itself is meta, because we're watching her as like a 30-year-old in X-Files when we're 7, thinking she's a strong and authoritative and badass, and she's 30 years older than us. And honestly, in the movie, Chris watched her with the same feeling, and she's 30 years older than Chris, and we are just totally transported to lying there and on a candy-filled rug in front of a fireplace. But no, I appreciate it for like every reason, especially I think that burning reference was huge. Like,
it's a grand slam. That's a good reference. They have several references about like Wes Craven and Sleepaway Camp and the Friday the 13th series.
Nightmare, they referenced how part 4 they said that one of the Miasma movies went back to basics, which is what is it part 4 where they kind of came back, and that one was like the first good one in a couple of movies.
It was part 6 because 1 through 4 are seen as really good movies, and then part 5 was whoa, and then part 6 was the hey, we're back to basics. We brought Jason back.
Gotcha.
So yeah, she was referencing part 6,
and they had
the Camp Miasma series.
Yeah, and they had the Miasma Manhattan reference as well.
Sure did, and a space reference as well.
Yeah. And I think it was just really special in that way of when Randy is talking about horror movies in Scream, I felt like the director was talking to me, like, and all the movies that we rented at NTV. So I thought it was really special.
I do too. I think that any fan of horror, any slasher fans, this has to be on your list. You have to watch this. You don't get horror movies like this that often. This is it's a diamond in the rough right there is what it is. It's to be able to say that we got both Obsession and this out in the same year is insane to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we had to drive an hour to go see this movie. I'm going to take my wife this weekend to go see it again.
I am too. I'm taking Tiff. I told her to look at showtimes because we're going to see it again. I will tell you this. I would drive 4 hours to go see this movie. Like
knowing how good it was.
Yes, knowing how good this movie is, I would easily drive 4 hours to watch this because we're probably never going to see a movie like this again. Like,
yeah.
Especially this well done.
Yeah, because all of us might be too old for another 80s slasher love letter. The love letters will be for Hereditary and I guess Ghost Ship or whatever.
No, for sure. We're getting to that era to where that is going to be the new 80s. It's the early 2000s. Because whenever we grew up, that's what we were watching. We were watching 80s movies. Now people that are in their 20s, they were watching movies from the 2000s. So it is Ghost Ship and stuff like that.
Yeah. Or and so it's I would say, I hate using the word masterpiece, but I would say to me it's a masterpiece because
I would agree.
You would agree?
I would agree 100%.
There was something very personal to me that made it that I was like 9 the whole time. But at the very end of the movie, we get a shot of young Chris when she's like 6 or 7 years old. It is obviously super taboo and kind of messed up. But this little girl is watching a sex scene in a horror movie that she should not be watching. Nope. And I immediately thought of me watching Dracula, rated R, as I call it, because I remember being like 7 years old and seeing Keanu Reeves get swamped by 3 naked vampire ladies. Also probably like Terminator 1 and a couple of other movies. I just remember, because in the movie, the little girl is like confused and fascinated, and I just remember feeling the same way. And when I saw that, I was like, man, that is a very small, pretty taboo thing to put on film that I promise you about 99% of horror fans have gone through. I would argue that most horror fans had a sexual awakening because of horror movies.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. And you just think about like Selma Hayek in From Dusk Till Dawn or, you know, some vampire lady or Frankenhooker. You know, I think Chris kind of throws it up to sexual trauma in a way. And when she confides that, I told Chelsea, imagine if you were a 7-year-old boy and you grew up and you had to remake From Dusk Till Dawn and you went to hang out with Selma Hayek in a cabin and she was totally into you. That is and that is what it would have been like. It would have been crazy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I would say it was a masterpiece. I feel like this will be like Bring Her Back, where people won't appreciate it until a year after it hits streaming.
Yeah, as soon as streaming hits, this will definitely have a cult classic feel to it. People will talk about it in their groups and be like, "Hey, have you watched this movie yet?" So there's a bunch of horror movies that are like that. I hope it gets popular quickly, just so that they can see how talented this entire crew was on this movie, because it is that good.
Yeah. So congratulations to all involved. Y'all are the best.
Yeah, that's some good stuff. You made us feel like we were all hanging out. That's what this movie felt like to me. It felt like somebody telling me their first like horror encounter, and I loved it. It was amazing.
It made me be like, man, there is a crew of people that I want to hang out with really, really bad.
100%.
So, but thank you for watching this. We're going to send you on over to our... What should we send them to?
Let's see. We put out the movies like Obsession, if they want to go check that out.
Oh, yeah. If you love Obsession, we have some recommendations for you. Speaking of cool people to tell you about horror, go watch Greyson. Talk about that.
I had some pretty big heaters in there, and a couple of them that you might not know about. So go check them out. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think.
Go see this movie.